Ayoharati va pumsam udyanastam chayannaso tasyate yachanonita uttamaslokavataya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good Personality of Godhead. Purport. This verse indirectly confirms the great importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. So, the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, jīva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes in contact with any one of the above energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately open. In the Bhagavad-gītā 240, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words. Endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is their failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug, injected intravenously, acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ear of the pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental messages implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees like Śukadeva Gosvāmī prepares one's complete life for eternity, and thus the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the eternal living being. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease. The materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Sastras as quoted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad-gītā, Vedas cha save aham eva vedya. There is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment passed in the association of the pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. Madhama gantva puna janma na vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Omagyantividandasya gyanana shalakya chakshumlitamena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakapa Turubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one can conquer death. And here it says like guaranteed of perfection, going back home, back to Godhead. It's pretty easy. You just sit there. Can always receive transcendental sound unlimitedly. You know, how much prasadam can you eat? For how long, huh? Unlimited. Really? Okay. We will see, Mathuraji. So usually Prabhupada said you have to eat up to the neck. And Bhakti Churu Maharaj, he kind of furthered it. Why up to the neck? Because if you eat up to the teeth, then you can't chant. So at least only up to the neck so you can still chant. But yes, but the ears are always open. Even while you're sleeping, even while walking down the street, can be always ready to receive transcendental sound vibration. You cannot, there's no limit actually. So, yeah, we're very lucky that, there's so much recordings, Prabhupada's lectures, recordings from so many devotees. You go on ISKCON Desire. I don't know how many hours of hearing you could do from that. But, all my obeisances to the founders and the maintainers of ISKCONDesire.com, because, the amount of, I don't know how many lectures I've listened to from that website. It's amazing. And just by hearing, you may not capture everything, but just having it playing, you capture some nuggets of nectar from transcendental personalities. And it carries you throughout the day. So this is our way of defeating the sun, of its sunrise and sunset. People look at the sunrise and sunset and they think, oh wow, beautiful nature. So, it's even romantic even, wow, so nice. But actually what's happening, their life is being taken away. So Prabhupada says that you may see a 10-year-old boy. You ask him, how old are you? I'm 10. So you may say he's lived for 10 years, but actually he has died for 10 years. Your life doesn't start from birth. Actually, your dying starts from birth. The Gita says, Jatasya hi juvo mityo juvam janma mrityacha tasmat apri hare ate natvam sochitam ahasi. One who has taken his birth is sure to die. And after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. So the devotee does not lament. He's executing his duty in devotional service, using his time to hear and glorify the Lord, just hearing and chanting about the Lord. Shravanam Kirtanam. So you're not affected by time. Have you felt that sometimes? You're in a kirtan and you're just doing it, it's like an hour or longer, and then you don't feel like time has passed by. Even while you guys are living in the temple, or maybe even just started, do you feel just time is like stretching back and forth? I had this experience when I first started. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I joined there. And we have a farm 2 hours away. And they needed to paint one of the houses. So then brahmacharis came to help out. And the whole time while we were painting, we were listening to these cassette tapes of the Mahabharata. And it's really interesting because this kind of like audio book, the voice is like so like monotone. It's really bizarre. It's like, then Bhishma took up his bow, and then with his bow in a full circle, killed all the soldiers, like millions and millions of soldiers, like full monotone, the whole thing, Like I remember there's like this description of how Abhimanyu passed away, and it's like, so he entered the Chaturvyuha, and then surrounded by 6 Maharatis, they all ganged up on him. But he was such a lion that he took out 2 Maharatis. He was charging at, further Maharatis. He looked like a porcupine, covered in arrows. But then the son of Dushashan came, and then with a club, smashed his head in, something like this. It was all monotone, But because it was so descriptive, you're kind of like, wow, what's going on, And it was so much fun just like hearing that and just like painting. And the weird thing was like this 2 days felt like 2 weeks. But at the same time, it felt like it just went so quickly because you're having some fun. It was like you weren't bound by time. I don't know if anyone else experienced that, but I did that. Yes? Okay. I'm not crazy. So, yes, this is the nature of a devotee. He knows exactly how to use the human form of life. It's so rare, this human form of life. It's like the loophole to get out of the cycle, birth and death. This Sankirtan movement of hearing and chanting, it extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. Because if we don't use the human form of life for glorifying the Lord and hearing His glories, then we're just a 2-legged animal. Just eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Human form of life, it's equipped with high intelligence to inquire. Atato Brahma Jigyasya, now you have the human form of life. Inquire about spirit. Where do I come from? Where do I go after death? Who am I? Why do I have to suffer? The source of all suffering is our forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna. But you meet someone on the street and, it's like, you know Krishna? No, who is he? Oh, you've forgotten. So the source of our happiness is to remember Krishna. Revive that relationship once again. And it's very easily done by this hearing and chanting. And this human form of life is very short. Very short. Many of us are 20, 30 years old. So how much time you have left, actually? 30, 40 years. If you're lucky, if you're one who lives to old age. People live to 70, 80 years old. So how much time do you really have? Do you even remember, how fast these last 20 years went? And how did we use it as a kid, as a teenager? Not for self-realization. Well, I didn't. So one can, it's so short you can't even extend it by a fraction of a second. It just keeps, there's no stopping it, no matter what happens. Death has to come. But if you engage in devotional service, you can change your destiny. Like people read palms. So I don't know if you know about palm reading. So if you see this line that starts from here and then goes down to the base of your palm, that's your lifeline. Like that. So, yeah. So that's like your whole life is there. And then if you sort of fold someone told me, I don't know if it's true. If you fold your wrist in and then you see the lines that are formed, so each line is like 30 years. So if you have like 3 lines, then maybe you live to 90. If you have 2, maybe it's 60. You got 200 years, okay. You have to like softly fold it, not too much. Like, I got more lines. Change your destiny. But no, by clapping in kirtan, you change your lines. Yes, clapping kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yeah, how much money you'll get, how much money you'll lose, how much happiness, distress, it's all there. How many wives you have, how many children you have, it's all there. I don't know the details. But yes, you can change your destiny by devotional service. Our karma is predestined there. It's like a cage we live in. This body is a manifestation of your karma, what you did in your last life. And yeah, it's like a cage. You have to follow the ways of the reactions of your past life. But by just engaging in hearing chanting, at once you are free from that karma. Nam no hi yavati shakti papa ni harine hare tavakatam nishaknoti patakam pataki naraha. So this means that by chanting the holy name once, one can be purified of more sins they can even commit in a lifetime. Krishna. That's it, done, gone. One lifetime of sinful activity. So it's very powerful, this chanting. And so that means a devotee should endeavor to engage every moment of our lives in devotional service, somehow or another. I remember being a brahmachari in Melbourne, and we had too much service. Prabhuji, too much service. The brahmacharis had to obviously do the morning program, and straight away you're out the door to help run the restaurant. And it was really intense, like throwing buckets in the van, like 40 buckets, like this. Then you have to race to the restaurant, and then you have to set up, and it's like on like the second floor, so you have to get all the buckets from the van, lift them up, you run up the stairs. Oh no, there's people already here. You have to sit up like this, and then there's just a line forever. It's like 400, 500 people to serve in like 2 hours. Oh, we need more plates. It's just like intensity the whole time. And then we have to take all the buckets back, and then back to the van. Then we have to go for Harinam, and then drive back into the city. Okay, do Harinam, and then I come back at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and then wake up again next day. So when you're gonna do your reading, you have to do at least an hour. There was no time. So this is before we had like smartphones and stuff. We had to carry a small book with us. So then when there was like, okay, we're in line waiting for push-up, okay, rip out the small book. You don't even care which page, you're just reading, Like this. It's like, okay, cool, It's like, okay, I got a lunch break, okay, I'll eat 10 minutes, and then I read another 20 minutes, okay. It's like full passionate. Anytime, so someone just like stops, like you're having a conversation, and they just stop the thing, and then you're like, okay. So, and we got our reading done somehow, luckily. Yeah, it was really intense. It's much better now. They have like a robot that helps lift the buckets up the stairs now. Yeah. Yeah. So the best way to become attached to Krishna is by being attached to Prabhupada's books, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all containing the glories of the Lord and His devotees. And at the same time, by being attached to Krishna, you can, what the Bhagavatam does, it also calls out material enjoyment, which is just fleeting happiness. There's no happiness in the material world. Any happiness you feel in the material world is just the gap between two sufferings, actually. There's no happiness in the world. You know, this material world is like a desert, and you're trying to find water. What a stupid place to find water. You need like an ocean to like relieve yourself, and then you just get a few drops, and you're like, yeah, I'm living life. That's what everyone else is doing out there. They're just getting drops, and they're just, you know, running after, you know, the carrot or like the next drop of happiness. But devotees, they live in Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, an ever-increasing ocean of happiness. So this is, this can be realized, this can be projected through the Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam gives us the opportunity to embrace Krishna's name, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastime, and Krishna's beautiful form. There's so many beautiful descriptions there. You can just become absorbed. Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa. The holy name itself just contains all the pastimes of Krishna. You know, you just think of any name of Krishna, even Krishna, that name, all attractive. Straight away we start thinking of the form of Krishna, different aspects of his form. Like, he has like delicate fingers, you know, and the webbing between his fingers is described to be like very fine and delicate. His eyes are like lotus petals, and they stretch very far to his ears. Very beautiful, big ears. And his lotus feet have many symbols. You know, they have a symbol of like a thunderbolt. And that symbol of the thunderbolt is because we have a mountain of karma. But the thunderbolt of Krishna on Krishna's feet can smash that mountain to pieces. Krishna also has a symbol, the elephant goad. It's for controlling elephants. So our mind is like an elephant. Have you experienced sometimes? Sometimes you're riding the elephant, sometimes the elephant is riding on top of you. You know, but by remembering Krishna's lotus feet and the elephant goad, then it's very easy to absorb the mind in Krishna's beauty. And then, yes, we think of Krishna's lotus feet, and then straight away we're reminded of a pastime. You know, that Krishna left his lotus feet imprints on the hoods of Kaliya after dancing on his hoods and just like kicking him at the same time. It's pretty amazing to dance, but at the same time kill this 1,000-headed serpent. Not kill him, but defeat him. Because then we remember this quality of Krishna, that he has forgiveness. He didn't kill Kaliya. After his wives begged Krishna, please don't kill him, he's been purified. You know, he's just hiding from Garuda, your servant, because he's eating all the snakes in Ramanaka Island. And then Krishna says, oh, my dear king of the snakes. And then, you know, he didn't humiliate him, you know. If it was us, you know, you dirty snake Kaliya, you know, you better get out of town, you know, otherwise, you know. But no, it's like, my dear king of the snakes, do not worry. My lotus feet are on your head. Garuda will not harm you anymore. You can reside back in Ramanaka Island, which is, Prabhupada said, Fiji. Yeah, Prabhupada went to Fiji, and he says, Kaliya is here. So they built a temple, Krishna Kaliya, in Latoka. Beautiful deity, it's Krishna on top of Kaliya like this. And the locals know about Kaliya as well. They know, yes, there's this giant snake in this mountain called Reti Reti, like the locals there. But because the locals and the devotees, they don't, the chiefs, they don't have such a good relation, they don't let us go. But they know all about him, they know the story and everything, how he came. So it's quite interesting. And then we think of, so straight away, just from the name, we think of, like, we remember his form. just from the form, remember different qualities. From the qualities, remember a pastime, and then they all just interwoven. We're back to different aspects of Krishna. And we get absorbed. This is what the Bhagavatam does for us. It's like putting rocket boosters into your spiritual life. My favorite pastime that just shows Krishna's beautiful form and his qualities is this pastime of Bhaktavatsala. Bhaktavatsala means that Krishna becomes the calf for the devotee. He always protects the promise of the devotee. So we see here that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev, we see like this promise always being held. So Bhishma Dev was approached by Duryodhana, and he says, "Grandfather, you're holding back." So to tell a Kshatriya that you're not doing your real duty, it's like insult. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, you're holding back, you have affection for the Pandavas. So then Bhishma Dev, he puts 5 arrows in front of him, chants some mantras into him, and he says, "Okay, I vow that with these 5 arrows, I will kill each Pandava." Like this. And then Duryodhana's very happy. But then he thinks, okay, maybe Bhishma Dev will change his mind. He goes, "Okay, let me take those 5 arrows for you, I'll keep it with me." So then they have these religious kind of codes of conduct when it comes to war. So they only fight during the day, and then at night they rest in their camps. And sometimes they visit each other's camp, and then hang out. And it's kind of like sports, like sporting people, like in football or in basketball. It's like on the court, on the field, they're like going at each other, and they're like swearing, and they even fight. But then off the field, they kind of hang out, like, "Oh, that was good when you kicked that goal, or that when you bumped me," and like that. So they go over and they say, "Oh, it was good when you shot that arrow." They kind of appreciate each other's like military prowess. So Duryodhana has the arrows. And then Krishna tells Arjuna, "Hey, remember, Duryodhana owed you a favor." And Arjuna goes, "Yeah." So the reason why Duryodhana owed Arjuna a favor is that one day, when the Pandavas were in exile in the forest, Karna had a great idea. He told Duryodhana, "Hey, you know what? These Pandavas, they're just living like paupers in the forest, being in exile. And like we're like established in the kingdom here. You have so many allies, so much opulence. We're the emperors, What we should do, we should just like have a big caravan of all our opulence and go to where the Pandavas are hiding in the forest. And they can, really rub it in their face." And Duryodhana's like, "Yeah, great idea, let's do it, So they all go, towards where the Pandavas are. And then there's this lake, and a Gandharva stops Duryodhana. He goes, "Sorry, this is our place, you cannot come here, don't go any further." And Duryodhana here is like, he's the emperor, he's the king. He's like, "Who do you think you are, Get out of the way." And he goes, "If you come, we'll have a fight." He goes, "Yeah, let's go." So then the Gandharvas, they defeat Duryodhana and the Kauravas. They capture Duryodhana like this. So then word gets to Yudhisthira that, Duryodhana has been captured by the Gandharvas. And Bhima, he's really happy. He's like, "Yeah, nice. Did our job for us." And then Yudhisthira's like, "No, Bhima, no." Between each other, we may see ourselves separately, like Pandavas and Kurus. But for the public, for everyone, we are all Kurus. So, Arjuna, Bhima, you go and save Duryodhana. And Bhima's like, "What? Save Duryodhana? Why? Why do we have to do this?" He's like, "No, you do it." Because he's the eldest brother, they have to listen to him. And then Yudhisthira's like, "I will not go. I have to finish doing the sacrifice here with the Brahmanas. You guys go." Can you imagine? He's you don't want to do it. He says you have to do it, but he's not going. But they're very dutiful. Whatever the eldest brother, he's known as Dharmaraj, so he knows best. So they go, okay. So Arjuna and Bhima go to help. And then Arjuna, he fights the Gandharvas, he's firing arrows like everything. And then the Gandharvas try to take Duryodhana into the sky. Then Arjuna shoots this special arrow with the mantra, and it creates this whole net. And then, they can't go any further than this. They're defeated, And then Arjuna comes, he goes, release Duryodhana now. And they go, oh, well, we're just trying to help you, but yeah, okay. So they release him. Duryodhana's like down. He's got his head down. He's in front of Arjuna. And he goes, okay, Arjuna, what do you want? I owe you a favor. And then Arjuna says, I'll ask you later. So now we're in the battlefield. And then Krishna goes, yeah, you go ask for the favor. He has these 5 arrows, go ask for him. So he goes to the camp, sees Duryodhana. Duryodhana welcomes him, welcome. Yeah, have a seat, have a drink, okay. So, what you've come? You want you've come to beg for the kingdom without a battle? I'll give it to you if you ask. He goes, no. I've come we'll still fight, but I've come for the 5 arrows. And then Duryodhana's like, Krishna, man, this tricky guy. How do you know? And then because he's a Kshatriya, so Kshatriya is a man of his word. So he gave the arrows like this. Duryodhana runs back to Bhishma Dev. He goes, grandsire, Arjuna took the arrows. So now what you gonna do? And then Bhishma Dev vowed, he goes, tomorrow either Arjuna will die on the battlefield or Krishna has to break his promise. So before the battle, Krishna promised never to take up a weapon and fight. So then next day a battle takes place. Bhishma Dev is killing it. He's cleaning up the Pandava army. He says the bow is in full arrow and they fire arrows with mantras and they just turn into nuclear bombs kind of thing. So he's just like cleaning house, like everything. And then he starts firing at Arjuna. He's getting defeated. He's about to die. Right? Then Krishna, he just leaps off the chariot and charges at Bhishma Dev like this. He's roaring, And it says that all the dust from the battlefield starts decorating his body. He's like sweating with the dust, with his sham kind of color. So he looks really beautiful. And his hair is just loose. And then he has this top chada kind of thing. It starts flying off and he's running at him in his yellow dhoti. But it's described to be like electric lightning aura, kind of silver electric. I don't know what color it is, but it's far out. And Bhishma Dev is remembering this. And he's looking at Krishna and charging at him. And he has this chivalrous rasa with him, Vira rasa. So he starts firing arrows at Krishna. And it hits his transcendental body. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Krishna received these arrows just like the bites of a lover for the fiancé. Like that. And he's charging, come at me, oh lotus-eyed one. He's ready to be killed by Krishna. And then Krishna, he picks up a chariot wheel on the battlefield and he's like charging like this. And this Bhishma Dev is just seeing this vision of angry Krishna with this chariot wheel. And then he comes and then he doesn't kill Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev is ready to be killed by Krishna. I think it was like the end of day of battle or something like that. He just stops. So here like at the same time while he's charging, Arjuna's trying to stop him. No, don't break your promise, like this. So if you see this whole pastime, it's amazing because everyone made a promise. Bhishma Dev, who's a pure devotee, made a promise. And Krishna fulfilled it. Arjuna made a promise from the Bhagavad-gītā, Declare boldly, O Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. Krishna could have declared it, but he can break his promise if he likes. But if his devotee makes a promise, he never breaks it. He always upholds it like that. So he had to make sure Arjuna's not going down here. So in the same way, when the pure devotee says something, the Lord upkeeps it, just like when Lord Brahma gave all these benedictions to Hiranyakashipu, He asked, okay, I want to be immortal. Sorry, can't give you what I don't have. He goes, okay, I don't want to be killed by, anything dead or alive. I don't want to be killed by an animal, human, demigod. I don't want to be killed in the inside, outside. I don't want to be killed on the land, water, sky. I don't want so many things, inside, outside. He covered everything really, But then when Nishingadev appeared, half man, half lion, It's not an animal, demigod, or human being. So he got that one, took care of that one. He killed them in the sort of like, it's like balcony or something like that. So, it's not inside or outside. He used his nails, which are, neither a weapon, and they're not dead or alive. Nails are not dead or alive. He didn't kill him in the ground, sky, whatever. He put him on his lap, like this. What was another? He didn't kill him in the day or the night. He killed him at dusk, or dawn, or whatever, in between, like that. So he didn't need to, but he upkept Lord Brahma's word. So in the same way, Prabhupada said, if the pure devotee says, if you chant 16 rounds for the 4 regular principles, in this lifetime, guaranteed back to Godhead, then you must go back to Godhead. So this is what Prabhupada did for us. This is what Krishna is doing for us. This hearing of the pastimes of the Lord, the Bhagavatam, the devotees, especially from pure devotees. It's said in the Bhagavatam that one can conquer the unconquerable ajita by just hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. And when you hear from the pure devotees, even the basic things like you're not the body, you think, well, I already know this. Why do I have to hear it from the advanced devotee? Because it'll go even deeper. All our problems usually is because of this identification with the body. And I remember asking this question to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj. I go, practicing Krishna consciousness nearly 20 years, I still think I'm the body. I get pains, I get sick, I get mental. Is it even working? What does it mean to actually, I can't neglect my body, then I'll be too stressed out. What does it mean to actually identify the soul in devotional service? So he said that, yes, it doesn't mean that you become more neglectant of your body. You start eating less, sleeping less. And it doesn't mean you just become this super austere yogi. No. It means that you become more attached to devotional service. That's the sign that you're identifying as a servant of Krishna, the eternal spirit soul. The more attached you are to serving Krishna, that shows you're acting on the spirit soul platform. Even though you're still maintaining this body, clothing yourself, sleeping, eating, and living in a building, driving cars, flying planes, that's irrelevant. Because all these things are designed for the service of the Lord, that means you're acting on the spirit soul platform. So I was so happy I asked that, So this is what we can get from the advanced souls. Sada Sangha Sava Sava, Sava Sastra Hoy, Lava Mata, Sada Sangha, Sava Siddhi Hoy. Just by a moment's association. A lava is I think it's like 1/16 of a second, something like that. Just that, you can achieve perfection in life and conquer death. But you may say, even devotees die. Isn't it? They still, they didn't conquer death, they died. Sorry, funny thought just came up. My friend, His Holiness Bhakti Sarvagyan Gauranga Swami, when he first went to the temple and they did this Pramadwani, like, Jayam Vishnupad, and then Ki Jai, like that. So he thought they were saying, he died. No, he died. He died. So devotees don't die in the same way that non-devotee dies. So Prabhupada gives the example of the cat. So when the cat catches the rat in the mouth, the rat feels death and suffering and agony, and it's the worst thing ever. But the same cat with the same mouth, when it picks up its kitten, the kitten feels safe, secure, love, comfort, like this. So for the atheist, Krishna comes as death. But for the devotee, death comes as Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we have some questions, comments, reflections. Zanda.
Hare Krishna, thank you for such an amazing class. I was just asking, what's actually happening when, because it says when with the pure devotee, we're guaranteed to go back to Godhead if it's just for one lava, I think you said. So what's the science of that? What is?
It says, it's really something amazing. Even just a moment's association. So the question is, how is it happening?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's inconceivable, actually. But if we were to think about it, the pure devotees, they carry Krishna in their heart. They're like walking holy places. And just like he's talking about when you give in charity, to different qualified persons, you get so much back, like that. So in the same way, when we interact with these pure devotees, advanced souls, their interaction is not ordinary. Maybe on the gross level, you don't feel like, oh, now I'm flying or floating all of a sudden. But on the subtle level, so much reactions, sinful reactions, so many unnecessary burdens, anarthas just get destroyed like that. Especially through hearing. One sees the sadhu by hearing, actually. You see God by hearing, you see the sadhu by hearing. That's our association with the sadhus, with the advanced souls, by hearing from them again and again and again. And we got so much access. We can hear Prabhupada. Even reading is considered hearing. ISKCON Desiratory, even here in this temple, we have so many advanced devotees. They may not be like sannyasis or like gurus or whatever, but they've been doing devotional service for so long, and they're so fixed. There's so much love for Radharani, Nishra, and Jagannath. And these people, just by in contact with them, you're just brushing with them, You're making so much advancement, even though it doesn't feel like it. Just like when you ride in a plane, you're going at like 800 kilometers an hour. But you're like sitting there, oh boy, when's this flight, when are we gonna land, Are you even getting anything done here, You just have to make sure you stay on the plane, and especially when you're amongst pure devotees, you're going extra fast, like that. Don't jump off the plane. Yeah. So it's kind of inconceivable that way. Bhakti is so powerful, and the pure devotees, the pure bhaktas are also very powerful in giving mercy, like that. Especially like their kirtans, You get this chai bhav, this shadow of their emotions for Krishna. And if you associate it enough, it becomes yours. So yeah, just by the ears, just put that sound vibration in your ears. As much as possible. Yeah. Did I get your question?
Yeah.
Nice, thanks. Abhinandana Das Brahmachari.
Hare Krishna. Just on the same topic, can it be explained also from the perspective that, like our devotional service begins, they say that just by once seeing the Harinam, even from a distance, all of a sudden your devotional service has begun, even if in this lifetime you never take it up. And so that lava matra, one moment's association with the devotee, then now, your road to perfection, which in the grand scheme of things is very quick, from the perspective of Krishna, it's all very quick. That moment's association, all of a sudden you're on the road to perfection, could it also be explained like that?
Of course, yes. We go out for Harinam or book distribution. We're not that sadhu that's being talked about, but we're a representative Just like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna acted as the instrument of Krishna, firing arrows, and they all got liberation because he was the instrument of Krishna. So we may not feel that compassion, we may not have that realization, but Prabhupada had it. He had that compassion, that realization that if someone touches the book, someone sees a devotee, sees tilak, hears the holy name, dances in kirtan, spiritual life is, they've jumped so many hurdles, so much advanced in spiritual life. Because we have this concept of agyanta sukriti, unknown devotional service. So they build up this spiritual bank account, and then once they make this individual choice, like, okay, let me dedicate, then they start to access, wow, I have so much. That's why you see some people, new people, they come, and they just like soar past you. They get into devotional and they're like, wow, he's really, he's like better than me now. Like that. So yeah, it must have been accessing from previous devotional service that they didn't know about. So it's always beneficial to go out and give the mercy. Anything else? Very, very good. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanande.